Hey everyone, so today what we're going to do is we're going to be building models. And models in Django, because it's a web application, primarily deal with data coming to and from the database, but that doesn't needs to be exclusively data to and from the database. But kind of the general idea of models in an MVC architecture is that the controller makes calls that are clear, meaning they're well named, two different models, and the models return data that makes sense. What the models actually do behind the scenes can vary and can be quite complicated. And so you end up with this kind of idea that your controllers should be thin and your models can be fat. All right, so thick models, thin controllers. Okay, so let's just go ahead and make our first model. And Django does some pretty awesome things. It will basically build the table for us. So we will be able to say, hey, this is the table that we're going to be making, kind of like an ERD diagram. We're then going to make a migration, which kind of keeps track of what tables have been built. And then when we migrate it, it's going to actually build the table and allow us to access that table. So we're going to go through all those different pieces relatively quickly here, and we're going to get into it more in throughout this chapter. Basically, as we go through models, we're going to play around a lot with building different models and relationships. Today, we're just going to make a single table and get it going. So let's go for it. So again, we're just going to go after and make our project from scratch because it doesn't take all that long. So Django admin, start project, and let's call this main 3 because it's the third project that we're going to make. Oh, I didn't do my work on pi3 Django. Cool. All right, so now Django admin, let's just up arrow that thing. Cool. All right, so now we have that access to that. Let's go into main 3. CD main 3, not main, the state. All right, so we're in main 3. Let's make our directory for apps. Let's go into apps. Let's touch underscore untrain it.py. All right, let's go up and say, hey, Python. Let's go upstairs, up our route, go to manage.py in that folder above me, and let's go and make ourselves start app, third app. All right, so now we have our third app up and running. Now let's go back up and let's start up Atom. All right, so now what we're going to be needing to do is basically the usual things, the usual suspects. Change your settings.py. We're going to have to go in and make some URLs. We're going to have to go and make a view, and then we're going to have to make our first model. All right, so let's do it. All right, so going into Python, settings, we're going to have to say, hey, go to our applications, and eventually we're going to add multiple applications, so apps.thirdApp. We could have been adding this to a list, right? These are all apps that have been added. We're just adding one right now, but we could have been adding 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and these guys are all going to integrate and work together eventually. All right, so into URLs. Again, I've been just commenting out admin for now, commenting out this guy for now. We need to include. I know I think I've said that every single video I've made when we're talking about the URL routing. And then we're going to say URL r, and we'll just copy this one for now. Let's just grab this one up here because it's pretty much the same as what we want, or very close to. And we don't want to go to blog because that could have been one of our apps. We just want to go to root. And we want to go to apps.thirdApp.urls. All right, so now we can go up to third app. We don't have a urls.py file yet, so we need to make that. So going to third app, we need to say, hey, third app, let's make our urls.py file. And I got tired of rewriting this thing, so I made myself a little shortcut because I was, as I said, I was kind of tired of writing all these pieces of code and remembering what they were. And again, we're going to talk about named routes when we start talking about forms a little bit more deeply. But right now, we basically said, hey, go to this root route. If you find the root route or anything after a start of a string, first place to look, right here. If you found just an empty string with nothing in it, load views.index. All right, bam, views.index. Hey, let's go here. Cool. So let's make ourselves def index. It takes the request object. That request object, we can then render a template. So we need to render request, and we're going to go after templates, but templates is preset for us because that's part of the settings.py file. And then we're going to say, hey, let's go into third app and then run index.html in our third app. Cool. All right, so let's go to our third app. We don't have a third app file in our third app, or templates. So we need to make those things. So if we say new file, from Atom at least we can go and say templates, and then third app, and then index.html, and it will build all the files and the folders for us. Great. So there's our index.html. Whoops. And let's just make ourselves an h1 tag and do the typical hello world. All right, cool. So this is all stuff that we've done before. I just was redoing it because I like to redo it because I think it's fun. But now let's start digging into the models. So in our models.py file, we're sitting here. So we can create our first model. And models are classes. And I just copied the class from, no I didn't. So let's create our class people. And it takes in model.models. Sorry, models.model. And I'm going to be lazy and just copy it from the platform really quickly, because it'll be just faster for us all. And you don't have to watch me suffer and mistype things. All right, so models.model. We're going to have a first name, last name, created at, updated at. ID is auto-generated, and we're going to see that happen in just a second. All right, so there's our model. Great. So let's go back to our views and use this model. So we're going to go into views, and we're going to say, hey, from .models, because that's just the adjacent location. So we're basically saying, hey, go over to this models file from our controller, and we're going to import people. And then we can do a number of different things, but we can start using that model as soon as we've generated in our database. And one of the awesome things about Django is that when we're just doing our development cycle, we're using this database called SQLite. And SQLite is locally stored memory. And so we don't have to do any of the crazy, not crazy, but we don't have to turn it on MySQL because it's just local stored memory. We don't have to start up MAMP. What's going to happen is that our model generation here, this is going to create our locally based table that we're just going to be able to access. It's pretty fantastic. It's great for development, makes things easy and painless. Well, relatively painless. All right, so let's just use this object relational mapper, which is basically a run SQL queries. And the SQL query that we're going to run is something to the effect of, well, we're going to insert a person, and then we're going to show all the people that we have. All right, every time we load this index method. So we're going to say, hey, people dot objects dot create, and we're going to create a new person. And that person is going to have a first name, and that first name is going to be me all the time because I'm an egomaniac, and a last name, and that's also going to be my last name because I also am still an egomaniac. So every time we load this index, we're going to add a new person because I didn't say either of these two fields had to be unique. And then we're going to say people equals people.objects.all. So, and then we'll print people after this. So what we're going to expect is every time we load our index page, after we've got our database up and running, we should be able to add a person and then print out all the people in that database. All right, so to get our database up and running, we have to say, hey, Python, hey, manager, Python manager, or Django manager, let's make some migrations. Cool. So it made this migrations file, and where it makes this migrations file is actually in this migrations folder of the application. And if we click on this, we'll see this first initial migration. That's what we just made just now. All right, this is the created model that we're about to create. Notice it populated this new field ID for us. Awesome. So that's where that ID comes from. And then now that we have that ready to be made, we actually have to migrate. So we've told the geese where to go. Now we have to get them flying. Hey geese, go migrate. All right. Cool. Remember we got sessions before? So here's the sessions database. Here's this third app database. Fantastic. All right. So now if we do Python manage py run server, we should be able to go to localhost. And when we go to localhost 8000, we should see, ooh, didn't return an HTTP response. It returned none instead. But we should still see people. I probably just forgot to add return. We should still see people popping up in our database. Oh, look, there's people. And we have one person in there. Great. That person is me because, as I said, it's a list of me's. All right. So let's fix this none return and then do it again. And then we should see two me's. All right. Well, we don't see who they are because we haven't quite instigated that part of it. But We're really close to that. So views.py. So here's the failure of me returning something. All right, so restart the server, and when we refresh this page, there's the hello world, and now we have people and other people, and both those people are me. All right, so we've created a database, we've accessed that database, we have actually run some ORM requests on it already, and I think we're kind of getting off to the races. So the next couple of assignments are basically going to be you making Django apps that have different databases that are based on ERDs that we show you. Cool. All right, should be fun. I heart Django. All right, bye.